Misadventures of an Escape Artist, Episode 6. The Musician, Antoine's Curtain Call. Between the ages of 22 and 28, I left my career as a pilot for a life as a musician and a man of the theatre. I started working as a bassist for an excellent English-Canadian singer. I also started composing music, including the song The Doorman. It was the summer of '82. A group of 4 musicians, including me, lived on welfare, rented a farmhouse, and practiced as a band for the entire season. Finally, in the fall, we did 2 shows before the band broke up. The guitarist and the drummer could no longer work with each other. All that summer, we had lived on rice and occasionally potatoes. We didn't have enough money to buy meat. We spent nearly 4 months of intensive work practicing for 2 evenings of entertainment. It's sad, but that's showbiz. It was during these years that I realized I was actually a clown in the true sense of the word. The Auguste, the jester who entertains the audience and makes them laugh. The white clown, beautiful, elegant, airy, sparkling, mischievous. In all the adventures and misadventures in my life, all my trades, jobs and professions, whether as an actor, pilot, businessman or musician, I had been the tongue-in-cheek joker. For me, life had no tomorrow. Living for today is the only way to really get the most out of life. Moving to Toronto. In 1983, after the breakup of the band, the 3 of us who were left decided to leave the Eastern Townships and move to Toronto, because the music scene was booming in that city and we thought we had a better chance of making it as artists. We formed a jazz rock fusion band. We had our lead singer and composer, Penny, me on bass, Howard on drums, and Pierre on lead guitar. We also added Chris, an incredible violinist. We found a house to rent in the Beaches, a very bohemian section of Toronto. Since none of us had any money, the landlord had several houses in the neighbourhood in need of repair, so he hired us as house painters to pay the rent. We practiced music during the day and at night painted houses. Like so many other musical groups, the band was not able to last. A 1-year tour with the Bobby Griffith Band. At the end of that year, I was offered the opportunity to work as a bassist for a year-long tour across Canada with the Bobby Griffith Band. Bobby Griffith was a black singer in his late 50s who had made many appearances on the Lawrence Welk Show. His repertoire consisted of contemporary rock and roll, ballads and popular hits of the day. He also performed his own well-known song at the time, the Badgers song. We travelled in an econoline with a trailer containing our music equipment. We would play every night from Monday to Saturday, and on Sundays pack up and leave for another town. After a few days of rehearsals, we left Toronto to begin our tour in Manitoba. We ended up in the mountains of British Columbia after a year of playing in various cities throughout Western Canada. 12 months without going home, 12 months of road food, 12 months of waking up in some god-forsaken town. We always lived in hotels, and all the musicians, except Bobby Griffith, occasionally had to share a room. In those weeks, I sometimes roomed with our drummer Tyrone. Every morning when Tyrone woke up, he would quickly do 1,000 push-ups. I, on the other hand, could maybe do 10. In every town, Tyrone would meet a local girl and play the game of love. In those remote villages in the Canadian prairies, you rarely saw people of colour. A girl could not afford to have sexual relations with boys from the surrounding area because she would quickly be marked as a tramp. But the arrival of Tyrone, this young black musician, offered these girls a bit of magic in their mundane lives. I'm not a sex, drugs and rock and roll kind of guy. Tyrone, on the other hand. When he left his flavour of the week, he always promised to come back and see her, write to her or call. In the next town the next night, he had his new true love for the week. I remember twice during the tour when one of Tyrone's former girlfriends showed up and gave him a tongue lashing. But apart from that, Tyrone ruled the roost. Every night we played 4 sets of 40 minutes, with 20-minute breaks between each set. We played from 7 to 11, 6 nights a week. In the first and last set, the guitarist and keyboard player sang. Bobby Griffith was the big star and only came on stage for the second and third sets. Lazy bugger. He insisted that we should always be very well dressed and in the same style, tight trousers and a tight jacket to catch the ladies' eyes. Bobby Griffith taught me a lot about being on stage, how to move, when to smile and when to grimace. He was also a heavy drinker. Every night he drank 40 ounces of vodka. Occasionally he was not able to perform his last song. After a year on the road, I returned to Montreal to continue my career as a professional musician. I performed with a number of rock, jazz and folk musicians and singers. My career was taking off, and I was more and more in demand for shows, studio sessions and live performances.